AnomaLeaks Talks.
Welcome back to AnomaLeaks Talks, the podcast where we dig into the latest leaked paranormal documents from global conspiracies and shadowy government agencies. I'm Grigori Karpin, coming to you straight from the dark recesses of the suburban hell that is my witness protection.
And this is Dr. Cimmerian coming to you from a bunker in an undisclosed location.
Something really crazy just popped up over here. In this episode, we're talking evidence of a literal monster from the depths of the Romanian forests.
Where'd we get this info?
Actually, I wrote it up, but I can't take the credit. The amateur investigators from AnomaLeaks were the ones to find the juicy bits. And apparently, there's an anonymous mole.
Fair enough. I mean, you can't be too careful with the Allied Nations and Eastern Alliance locking down the news of anything paranormal.
True. Not to mention Mortfield Industries popping up everywhere you look.
Right? More and more these days, we're seeing reports involving Mortfield. These guys are up to something, but let's get back on track. What's this monster about?
Well, we've got a file labeled MFA E-2319, whatever that means, describing an emaciated and disheveled female entity. She's insanely tall. She's at 2.8 meters, and she has 8-fingered hands ending in long, sharp nails. Nuts.
Jesus, no, that's an image I didn't need. I read in the report that it's bulletproof?
Well, resistant at least. Apparently, it was shot several times and it barely slowed it down. And get this, there's a note about binding it with chains using thaumaturgical runes.
Magic?
I guess so. But that makes sense. Magic to bind a monster?
You said this was a Mortfield report?
Yeah, but the question is, why does a tech company hunting monsters in a war zone? And that's anyone's guess.
That's why it's so interesting to me. The different factions don't intimidate them at all, but, what the hell are they up to?
Who knows? Anyway, the agents get a hold of this entity, and they tried transporting it to a containment facility in Bucharest when they get attacked by Soviet forces, and the communications are lost during the fight.
And then it goes from bad to worse, because when the rescue team shows up, it's a mess. 16 dead Soviet soldiers, the whole Mortfield team, despite the bodies showing significant gunshot wounds. One of the Soviets had bite marks on the inside of its freaking trachea.
And it gets better. Don't forget the organs.
Right. All the bodies were ripped open, and they found a pile of organs in the woods not too far from the firefight.
That's terrifying. Guess her eyes were bigger than her stomach.
Yeah, but then the file takes a left turn.
Right. All of a sudden, there's a Soviet interview from 1991 of a Romanian woman. She says that the Muma, which is what she calls the monster, has been in stories since at least the First World War.
So she's hungry, and she lives a really long time. Great.
But not hungry for everyone. The woman says that the entity has been attacking any soldier she comes across, and that she's referred to as the mother of the forest, but the woman doesn't really know why. When the NBC agent asks her if she's seen the entity, she says no.
But she's heard it. The creature sings, and you can hear it if you're near the forest at night.
And what does she sing about?
Her dead? What does anyone sing about here? She sings for her dead.
Spooky. Kind of sad, too.
It is sad, but mostly sad for anyone who gets disemboweled.
So, then we fast forward to the Mortfield agents looking for the creature after the incident with the Soviets.
Yeah, Mortfield literally going monster hunting.
And we have an actual transcript from the Mortfield field team, searching a nearby park because the closest forest, and I hope you can hear the air quotes there, folks, they can find is near Bucharest.
Yeah, finally we get to see firsthand how they operate. And the thing is, all very military for a tech company.
Which I guess makes sense given the context of the Iron Corridor. But once they're a little into the park, they lose track of their surroundings and find themselves in some other forest, a stranger forest, denser and wider than the park ever was.
Yeah, they decide to pull out when they realize the forest is bigger than it should be. And then they hear the wailing song of the entity.
And unfortunately, that's the end of the file.
Well, they're definitely dead. Unfortunately, there's no way to know what happened to the entity or if she's still out there looking for soldiers.
True. But if she is, then she's got plenty of snacks to pick from with all the patrols. So folks, if you're in the Iron Corridor and you hear wailing from the woods, throw down your weapons because it is not your night. Before we get further into the newly discovered conspiracies, we at AnomaLeaks Talks want to take a second to thank our supporters. If you want to support our podcast or the work of the AnomaLeaks investigators, you can go to the site at anomaleaks.net. That's ANOMALEAKS.net. Now let's get back to the secrets and the lies of the government leaks.